Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Warrior Show, presented to you by MMA TORCH. We're back, myself and Sean, for another episode. Today's episode, we're just going to be recapping a couple of weekends of fights. Obviously, we didn't do one last weekend. Thankfully, Sean, in this period where we've not been as active, the UFC, Bellator had its card in London as well, but there ain't been much to talk about, really, is there? There's not been much standout performances. It's not been great. As a fan, as perhaps a casual fan would turn off, maybe, from what they've seen in the last couple of weekends. You've also got a big one this Saturday coming, but yeah, it's not been a sort of blockbuster schedule so far in the coming into the spring and the summer months. But we'll be recapping a little bit for you guys, and then obviously previewing UFC 275 alongside all the other big talking points in MMA. But Sean, just really wherever you want to go with it to start with. I mean, we don't have to talk about anything in particular, but obviously Sunday, so last night was UFC Vegas, Volkov, Rosenstrike. Thoughts? I mean, I seen your comments. I know your comments about the stoppage. I agree. People are saying the stoppage and whatnot. I don't think so, but what was your thoughts generally on the fight itself?
It was a sleeper card. Actually, it was a productive card. Like if you watched it, you definitely got what you wanted out of it. Finishes. Now everything has to be a finish, but it's good to get good finishes. The stoppage isn't the way people wanted that stoppage to happen, but I mean, you're dead to rights when you start to stumble like that. Like, he was going down, he was going to get his back taken, and he was going to do this, and it was over. That fight was essentially over. You could argue that he could have recovered, but there was no way he was recovering. Anybody who's ever watched MMA knows he wasn't going to be able to get away from what was about to happen to him. So it was a good stoppage. And the other things that happened in the fight, well, Felice Herrig retiring after being trash. Yeah, I said it. Come on, let's just call it what it is. Shouldn't even been out there. Glad that's over, because that's a name I never understood that people were behind at all. Like, what has she ever done that's so important that we need to hold it in high esteem? Like, you answered. I really want that question to be answered. Unless you froze on me. I think you might have frozen on me. I don't have a phone. Do I have a phone on me? Yeah, I do. See if Rhys is frozen on me. Okay. Anyway. So, yeah, other than that, it was just a few fights on there that just really, they kept your eye, they kept your attention. Everything was, the problem was that it was at the Apex, I think. This should have just been in front of a live crowd. This should have been in front of a live crowd, where they could have got the most out of it, but they instead it's at the Apex, and it's just it's going to be underrated, whatever.
I mean, I got like 4 words of that on my Wi-Fi call like 4 times, so that was great. But I heard some echoing about the Apex and whatnot. I think that's a conversation that's been going on. The Apex to start was, it was a good idea, and it still is. It saved the UFC a lot of money. They've earned a lot extra money doing it this way. It's widely regarded and known by people that it's cheaper. The UFC fighters have the hotel right beside the Apex. It's all convenient, and they're going back slowly but surely to live crowds for fight nights and whatnot. But yeah, the main event in itself, the card was good, like you said. That's like we always say, Sean, don't we, that sometimes when a card doesn't have a lot of names on it, people write it off, and people think that, is it worth watching? 9 times out of 10, those cards deliver more than the ones with big names and whatnot. But I mean, what else about the card that perhaps that you thought if you're looking at this coming Saturday, obviously bigger names on that card, but is there anything that you sometimes learn from these smaller fight nights where maybe there was boxing on the same night, it was probably a bigger event, Haney and Kambosos, we're going to talk about that in a second as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you sort of take away from these small fight night cards, or is it just kind of the same?
No, it's a takeaway because it's always a build to something. Unfortunately, they are kind of like they're paid events, like they're premium live events, or pay per view or whatever. So you're not getting the same value because they're not being built up. It's not like they have a weekly program. Maybe they do. I don't know. That's the problem right there. You could say whatever you want about WWE, and I know a lot of people do. WWE Pro Wrestling in general, they have a weekly show to let you know what they're going to do, what they're building to in a month.
Yeah.
So, they don't. Where is that? If the show was at an Apex, if they had a main card at the Apex, I get it. There's no in between with MMA. With boxing, let's say with Floyd and with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, there were press conferences. That was their weekly show. They say, hey, we're going to have a press conference on this day. And then on that day, they had like maybe 4 or something like that leading up to the fight. And each one was interesting because it was a face-off before the fight. They knew what they were doing. That's how you have to sell fights. They sold everybody on that fight. People who didn't want to watch it or cover it still had to do so because they sold everybody on it. And so that's what the Apex is missing, and that's what these little fights, these little cards are missing. But they themselves are like the monthly build up to the even bigger cards, So that's why they need more build so that they can build to something else, because you need this pay-per-view or premium live event. I think they're all premium live events now. Like WWE successfully said something that was they changed the jargon and it's correct, or introduced new jargon. They're absolutely correct. All premium live events need to lead to other premium live events, and this will eventually do so. But there's no weekly television to do anything, or if there is some boring guy in a suit. Or maybe it's not a boring guy. Maybe it's Chael Sonnen. Maybe he's the one on a weekly. But that's the problem. Name a weekly MMA show, because I'm sure they're out there and we know them. But like, there's nothing I have to watch per week to get me to a fight. You might have froze on me.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just listening intently because I do agree.
Don't stay still, man. Cut it out.
I'm like a zombie these days. There's something. I think we were just talking about, because it's been 2 years of these sort of same shows. This is just directed towards UFC because obviously most promotions didn't come back during the pandemic, and when they did come back, it was, I don't know, when you look at PFL and One, you look at the way they do their shows since coming back from COVID, and even though a lot of them have been done without fans, there's something a little bit different. I think the UFC have like a complete regimented structure, like you said, and in ways it sometimes turns you off, like as a fan, where it's like everything's set, and every event is always planned and
it's like
set
a high
out.
school gym. Look at how they come out. PFL still has the stage and the bright lights and everything like that. And
UFC feels, it's been going corporate for a long time now, the last couple of years, but it feels, especially with these shows, because there's nothing different about them. Every walkout's the same. It's very business-like, and it's just get the fire out, fight, next one. And for me, it's that's why they're making the pay-per-views more special, because when you watch a pay-per-view, you're seeing something different. But I think they have no desire, perhaps, to go back really quickly to live shows for fight nights, because it's more expensive and things. But I think the fans want it. I
Cop
personally want
out.
it as well.
Dude, you can do it anywhere in Vegas. Do a really small venue in
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah,
Like, you're in Vegas. Just do a small venue. Build one. I know why they're doing it in Vegas. I get it. So why don't you just build a little place? Like, I don't see what's wrong with building like a WWE performance center, and then
yeah.
you do it there. I know that's what the Apex is, but it's not yours. So build your own, I don't know, man, 10,000 seater. That's not a lot of people, but that's enough. You know, let's say you can't fill that place up. Well, I don't know, make it a 5,000 seater. I don't know, something like that. Either something with 5 to 10,000 seats, um, that you can kind of break down and limit when, unless it's something else. The next COVID happens, it's gonna happen again. Let's not to get political, but let's stop the bullshit. So when something like this happens again, the next COVID, you can be prepared. That's why they're doing it in Vegas, because Vegas is like, nah, you got to be vaccinated.
Mm.
Anybody who said we can't say vaxxed. Let me veer off to the left real quick. Stop saying vaxxed. The term is vaccinated. What's wrong with just saying an extra couple syllables and sounding like you went to a school, or at least someone who went to a school told you to say that? Like, stop with vax. That's not cute. It's very dumb. Like, it makes me want to say some other things about you, but stop saying vax, please. That's dumb. Why we gotta be so stupid? It's just vaccinated. It's never changed. It's not going to change. Anyway, because Vegas needs people, or they say, hey, if you're coming in here, you got to be vaccinated to do events. That's the perfect place to build where you want it, and it's your own small UFC place. So yeah, I think that's what they need.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's hard because we can sit and critique and whatnot about where they should go, what they should do to make it more interesting, but it doesn't seem like that will change much. Like, most people talk. I mean,
Yeah.
you see podcasts and shows and sort of every big personality within MMA saying the same thing, and yet that none of that brushes through on the UFC's company. So I don't imagine it'll get changed very quickly. I mean, looking at this weekend, Sean, before we just sort of move on to other talking points, I felt, it's not every weekend that boxing looks better, and you could argue that the fight between Kambosos and Haney was, it wasn't like a blockbuster. It wasn't incredibly exciting for the fans.
It was trending though.
It was
UFC
good.
certainly wasn't.
I'm talking more of just like a general. You
Yeah.
know what the fans are like. They want
Yeah.
knockouts and stuff. For me, it was a good fight. But when you compare that with perhaps UFC and stuff, we obviously we like to think that MMA does well each weekend. Boxing doesn't have a big fight like that every weekend. This was an undisputed fight. But did you think that, yeah, perhaps especially in America, the buzz was more around Haney versus Kambosos more than
Absolutely.
yeah,
Because
even though it was in
Kambosos,
Australia.
yeah, but like Kambosos was. Here's the thing: it's a bigger name, and you got to go with the bigger name. And boxing is old money. UFC is still extremely new. The two oldest sports in the world are in existence: wrestling, boxing. You know, either you whooping somebody's ass with fists, or you choking them, something like that. So wrestle them to the ground and choking them. So that's the oldest things you can do, and the most basic things. When you combine that, you don't get the same thing. When you combine it, you don't necessarily get the same thing. So um, it's it's not that UFC can't get there. It's just that boxing has already been there. And I went on record saying boxing was dead. What I didn't take into account was that boxing was still everywhere, and that when COVID hit, ESPN was like, "Oh, you need boxing," or boxing just came out of the woodworks, and COVID actually sparked new life into boxing, because it was the one thing you could put on. Everybody was always in the same gym, same camps. You had a bunch of athletes that were already together in camp, training in the same place. You just put them on every week, you know, and people didn't miss them a lot. And boxing also already by nature takes place in very small places as well. Like the gym is just you and your sparring partner. That's how that happens already. So we're already used to knowing that, generally speaking, there's no one there when they're training anyway. So I guess you could say that about other people's training. That's not necessarily true on like in a team sport and stuff like that. But the point is, you've seen boxing without fans because you've seen training. We're used to it, like even in the like also boxing, they hide the fans. Like, you don't really see the fans like that. You can say the same with MMA, but it's a lot different. It's closer. You got people like you got people right there. It's more, they show the fans a lot. It's about the fans to them. Boxing is not, you can hear the roar of the crowd, but like that's just kind of background, literally. You're looking at there's two stars of the people in the ring, not the crowd. And that's where sports have really messed up and given the crowd so much energy and so much control over their product that it was ridiculous. The best MMA you've seen in a long time has been in the bubble. It's been at the Apex because they didn't have fans constantly booing them when they're just wrestling. You just went in there and did what you needed to do. If it was a boring fight, nobody told you because who cares? You went in there and you won. I bet if we go back and look at people's careers, if that they really like wrestlers, they really prospered during COVID. Dariush, what was he doing during COVID? I bet he was laying on top of people. Nobody was saying anything. And now look at him. Now we're like, man, he's not very flashy. See, it's crazy. Now the fans have caught up with him, and we're talking about it. Am I wrong?
No, that's a good point. I like that.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Makachev. Now that the bloom is off of that flower, is like, okay, these wrestlers won't make it because, maybe they made it because they were in COVID and nobody was there to just say how boring this was because that's all we had, and there was no fan reaction. So
I mean, you could argue that like that. I would go along with what you said about a lot of fighters prospering during COVID when they returned in May of 2020. And I mean, you could argue that the size of the octagon changed and that helped, when there was a lot of fights that were two guys or girls that were more striking based, and it was quicker, it was faster paced, it was better ending fights for fans, it was more entertaining. You could argue that had an implication, but definitely the no fan element helped. You'd imagine a lot of people. I mean, it probably weirded some athletes out, but you could argue that, like you said, lack of booing and people, people. I don't want to say Americans because
no, man, say it.
It's not all Americans because you get people from all over the world, but you guys are a bit spoiled. I mean, I've said that to Sean. You guys get everything, and you see a wrestling exchange for 10 minutes and you boo because it's not what you want to see and it's high level.
We watch a bunch of fights live and in person anyway. Like, every fight like maybe has like one or two spectators, maybe at most. Nobody fights. And the fighter saying, I'll do this for the fans. You're a damn lie. You ain't never fought somebody in front of somebody else in your life. It just don't happen like that, for so many reasons. When you have a problem with somebody, it's usually just you and that person just right there in that moment. Like road rage. If you have road rage and you start fighting somebody, like everybody on the road's not going to stop to watch you and then cheer that you're wrestling them or boo when you're wrestling them. They're going to keep driving by because they don't give a shit. So stop the whole you doing it for the fans. You doing it because you like to beat the hell out of people and it's fun. That's okay, but don't bring the fans into it. And then when they boo you, you say, "Oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about." Like they do. You're doing it for them. So if you can do it for me, because I'm a fan, you can do it for me. Knock them out. Stop playing. No wrestling. Makachev and Dariush. Cut the wrestling shit out. Not put hands on somebody, man. I do get sick of wrestling. You ain't GSP. I've seen it enough in my lifetime and in the sport come up with a crazy knockout, or wrestle a little bit and then choke 'em. You know, just a little bit, and then choke them. They make it flashier if you're gonna do this for fans. We talking about fans. We need to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to bring that up. I know it's maybe couple of weeks nice. Also mentioning Makachev and Dariushin. I was just thinking, you know, because of, I'd say, a lack of. You said there was a productive evening last night for the UFC, and I would agree. I would agree. But obviously, you're talking about sort of the lower level in each division. You know, there wasn't any, you know, potential title shots coming out of that fight last night. You know, even Volkov because of.
Not
Wait,
immediately.
no, I mean,
Not immediately.
I get what you're saying. You know, it's all about the process and going up and up and up, which is what we want to see. We don't want as fans. If you're a true fan of the sport and whatnot, you want to see some events where it's just looking at the up and comers, the rise, and don't even have to be stars. They don't even have to be, you know, on the mic and saying loads of things. It's more about their skill level, seeing, oh, he's got, you know, a good jab, he's a good wrestler. I mean, there was I forget his name, the Russian fighter last night, moved in the co-main event, defeating Dan Ige.
By the way, Dan Ige, I did a show a little bit before I did Sporticus before on like Friday, I think. Yeah, I did it Friday, and I talked a little. You know, we previewed the fight card, and my buddy was like, Side Mouth Sam, he was like, oh, Dan Ige's on the card. I was like, yeah, Dan Ige, and I got a little excited. I was like, yeah, you know, I saw him on the card. Never getting excited about him again. All he does is turn his face into a potato, and
he's in some rough ride.
Dan Ige, get the fuck out of the fight game, bro. Get the fuck out of it now. You're doing nothing. A whole lot of nothing. If you're gonna look like that after every fight, even if you're winning, you need to stop. You're not very good at it.
Serious brain injury.
He needs to cut it out.
He's fighting the absolute. You know, he's fighting dogs though. He needs some better matchmaking.
So that's why he looks like a milk bone.
It's just like you look at who he's fought recently. Like, damn, you know, Josh Emmett. Like, that's just, no one wants to fight that guy.
The problem is we're not saying, oh, damn, they fought Dan Ige. That's the problem. You know, he fought them. They didn't fight him.
I just kind of go back onto that, actually, we talked a little bit about Rosenstrike. Were you disappointed? I mean, just before the stoppage, he seemed to have got a couple of not little, because he doesn't hit little, but some shots on Volkov. Volkov didn't really seem to be affected. I mean, they weren't clean, but they were.
Yeah. He got him a little bit
more. It would have been like, whoa. So were you disappointed, or were you like, that's what happens in heavyweights? It's just
no. I don't like angrier Derek Lewis or his older brother. Like, I mean, what's the difference between if you're not in the States or you're a casual fan? What's the difference between them to you? Nothing. So, you know, I actually thought it was Derek Lewis a couple times, because most of the time I had to mute it, and I was like, huh? I was like, is that? I got confused. I'm not gonna lie. But it's in saying that, you kind of got the same game coming, the same thing that's gonna happen. So I wasn't disappointed. You just can't be big and be a fighter, and a lot of fighters are just big sometimes.
He struggles with sort of any other asset to his,
Paulo Costa, just big. I mean, you could say he's skilled, but like, he's just big.
Oh yeah, he's not real. I mean, other than, he's got quick striking and powerful, but yeah, you're right. He comes across more of just a big guy. Rosenstrike, obviously, as a heavyweight, can rely on that big presence and mass and punch power, but when you're in there with a guy quite technical like Volkov, albeit we haven't seen a great deal on the floor from Volkov, so you could say he's perhaps one-dimensional as well. But, I mean, Rosenstrike, he's had a lot. I think that was the first. They're saying last night that he's only went to decision once in the UFC, and, the Overeem fight was a beatdown for 24 minutes and 50 seconds. He gets the knockout in the last 10. Some of the other wins he's had, he's had a few losses now. It's like we said, I think you've got to, especially now, you have to be so diverse in what your skill set, especially even in heavyweights. Before, you could rely on massive punch power. Derek Lewis seems to still do that. Some guys can do it, but in order to get to that next level, you've got to be multidimensional.
Yeah, it's mixed martial arts, and that's finally come up with the sport. Like back in the day, you could just be skilled in one. Like it's the reason why Machida was so good when he was rising through the ranks, and then he forgot to mix his martial arts, and he got his ass whooped, and that's where he is now. I did call him a bum before. I remember. I'm not gonna call him a bum. I did. I remember you put his resume before me, and I humbled myself.
Yeah.
But but that's why I'm bringing him up. A guy like Machida, who was very well disciplined, and the one thing he knew how to do would tear you up. A Ronda Rousey, when we're past that because we have. I'll put it like this: Holly Holm isn't even. She's well-rounded enough. She's not even that well-rounded, but she's well-rounded enough to show you what you need to be in the sport in order to be a real contender. Because of all people, she's a real contender. Did she deserve that loss? Nah, but you know what? After the competition she's fought, if she wants to remain at a certain level, she needs to do way better than that. She needs to be knocking that person out or submitting her. Let's see some submission, Holly.
Yeah,
your striking is not. We don't care about that no more.
You
got knocked out standing up, so you need to start submitting people.
Yeah, especially with Holly Holm at this point in your career, if had all these fights, all these sort of some losses, some wins. Yes, you've already become a champion, so the goal has probably been accomplished for her. But if you're still sticking around, and you want to be remembered as a great, and you want to get back into that title shot, having really close fights, razor-thin decisions, some losses at this point in your career is no good. You need to be, because every time you fight, if it's on a fight night, you're in the main event, you're looking to get that. It's like always in those crossroads of, I just need one win and I'm back in that title shot, especially in that division for Holly. She can be right back in, and yeah, when you're not dominating, you're not looking impressive. She was impressive, but
it makes it to the judge, and it makes it look like you fell off so bad that if that person does a little bit, if that person does well against you, it might make it look like they beat you, and that's how you lose a fight. But like I said on the show on Friday, if you say, I thought I had, you shouldn't even be fighting.
Yeah.
I thought, what the hell are you doing thinking? If you're not telling me, if you're not telling me, man, I messed up here when I threw this strike or when I went to do that. If you're not telling me specifically where you messed up as a fighter, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, not as far as competition goes. Because to say, man, I thought I had this round, I thought I won that round, like when Thug Rose was saying that, what? You mean you weren't trying to win them all? You should be saying legitimately, oh, no, I thought I won every round, unless you can pinpoint a specific time where you messed up, like, oh man, I tried to get his back and I messed up there, so I know I lost that round. That's how you say that, but you don't say, I thought I had this round. You only say how you lost a round. You know what I mean? Because there's no learning process for these people. It's just, oh, I'm a fighter, and this. No. If you look at NFL running backs, quarterbacks, Tom Brady, does he fumble? Sometimes, yes. Like last season, 2 seasons ago when they won the Super Bowl, he got cracked. And who were they playing? I think it was Green Bay, maybe, probably Green Bay.
Yeah. Yeah,
he got cracked, man. He didn't have a good game. He was throwing interceptions. He was getting cracked, fumbling, all of that. And he's elite. He's the best. And he talked about what he did to mess up and how his club was good. How but he doesn't talk about how good he was. because that's not what you do to get better or the light you got to perceive in it. Like you can't say, well, if they say something was an interception or a ruled a fumble, you can't say, well, I thought I did this. Like, who cares what you thought? That wasn't the ruling on the field, Not to say that he doesn't argue with that stuff, because he certainly does, but yeah, man, it's just disappointing and disheartening to see that. I know I kind of transition into that, but I did want to talk about Holly Holm a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you say, she's just a couple wins away from, she needs to. If anybody ever needs to go to PFL or Bellator, it would be her. And that makes sense that she hasn't actually transitioned. I think Bellator,
huge star there.
They probably eat her alive in Bellator. If I'm being serious, like, man, they don't play around, man. They don't play around.
No, it's killer. But like, she'd be a huge star nonetheless.
Yeah, Holly Holm. Holly Holm's over here. Blah, make a name for myself. That's what they do, man. You get over there. I'm not. Jeremy Stevens lost his first fight in PFL, right?
Yeah.
They gonna make a name off of you. They gonna eat, as the streets say. They need to eat, and they're gonna eat off of you. So, yeah, Holly Holm, somebody's gonna eat off of her, man. Like, they're gonna eat. So, but they might not in PFL if she comes in there like she's a true champion. She was a champion. Well, not true champion in our estimation, but whatever. She had a title. She lost it. She can go there and do some damage, and actually, when she meets what's that girl name? Kayla Harrison. It would be a big deal. That is something that would make both of them look like stars. Just that fight right there. And then if she goes to PFL, they're going to be fighting all the time, because they're going to be the two best. So they're going to be fighting all the time. I think that's a match, that's a great matchup for both of them. Like, literally for both of them. I mean, because one's got something that the other doesn't. And if that's a great matchup, because they don't match up well against, they match up great against each other. But yeah, it's gonna be it could be very lopsided. Like, either Harrison's getting their head knocked off, or she's submitting Holly Holm in seconds. It could be over really quickly. But, like, think about what we're gonna say about both of them after the fight. They got 3 fights, well, maybe 2 if Holly Holm get knocked out twice. Who knows? I don't know. But, like, think about what it does for Kayla Harrison if she beats Holly Holm.
For sure. It would give Kayla Harrison perhaps the credit to fans that don't believe in how good
I'd give it to her.
Because if Kayla Harrison was to dominate Holly Holm, even if it is Holly Holm at the latter stages of her career, pushing, well, it wouldn't be father time, but you know what I'm saying. It's
she's not in her prime anymore.
Yeah, I would say that, definitely give Kayla the boost in terms of she's got a profile. There's no denying that, because when you've got, people following you, whether they don't like you or not, it's a profile. But it's not like it's not completely credible in MMA, because it's credible in judo, Olympic medalist and what. But when you come to MMA and you just dominate, the girls that she's dominating, we can say she's good, but you don't know how good until she fights like the level of Holly Holm.
Speaking of making a name for yourself, do you know who Valerie Laredo is?
Yes, of course.
Okay, she's in NXT now.
Sure, I know.
Yeah, well,
everyone knows, even if you're an MMA fan, pretty much. I think
exactly.
That's one of the yes.
I mean, we know she didn't have a great Bellator career. Even though Valerie Laredo didn't have like a great. I mean, she's not trash. She's not very coachable, so that's trash about her. I mean, to be fair, to be honest, yeah, like, she's not. If anybody's seen the clip of her coach telling her not to do that spinning back fist, and that's how she lost, like, you'll know exactly why she's in NXT now. Like, but all she had to do was not do that, and she would have won. He said, "Don't do that." He was like, "I don't know what the hell that was, but please don't do that again." She immediately attempts to do it again. I mean, that we're just taking jabs at her, but, like, I mean, that's her. She's
not really. Like, just sort of like like it's a Paige Van Zandt, it's a Rachel Ostovich, it's using
I think
other
she could be
means.
better.
Oh, she could be better for sure.
Yeah.
I think everyone. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I think
I
everyone.
want your honest take about
I
Valerie
don't mind it.
Laredo's ceiling
I don't.
in her floor.
Well, for her specifically, it's. I mean, fight level or just stardom. Stardom could be.
Everything NXT, her pro wrestling career, her
Oh,
MMA
pro
career, if she ever go back
wrestling.
to it.
Pro wrestling should eat her up. Um, I think as a star, there's no limit because she's got that. So the Paige Van Zandt, Rachel Ostovich sort of Pearl
You mean a big
Gonzalez.
booty? You could just say big booty.
Yeah,
She's
like no,
got
but
that personality.
yeah, no, it's more just the fact that they've used
None.
their look to engage and get far more money than they are just fighting. And
It's a
if
credibility that they have. Like, you know that they can punch you in the face and break your
oh
whole
sure,
face.
oh they
You know,
kill us, but it's more just like recognizing that you could make more. It's all a business move. It's what it is. It's not okay. Yes, there's a bit of like, look at me. I'm on Instagram. Like, look. You would love to see me and all that. But I think it's mainly from a business perspective of I can earn far more money doing this using like the way I look to build my brand and things. And that's and
yeah.
if she was to go to WWE or whatnot, then
They're gonna call her up to the main roster. Like, if she's coachable at all, she'll be on SmackDown by the end of the year.
it depends
I'd
on
put her there.
it depends on whether she wants to fight or she wants to just like
She
make
can do both.
money. Yeah, it's difficult when you start doing both, I think.
You put her on SmackDown. I mean, yeah, but like Jake Hager's doing it, but he's not
There's no
like,
one at the top level that can do it. I don't think.
right.
You've got to commit.
I wouldn't say he's at a bottom level. I don't know what. I mean, if he had kept going, he was going to get a title shot. But I don't know why he stopped going. I mean, I guess he gets paid more money by that wrestling company. I don't like to mention them by name because I don't like them popping up in anything, in any algorithms and stuff. Like, I don't like them like that. But the reason I brought up Valerie Laredo is because people have been making that switch in combat sports, and I was telling people a while ago. I said, hey man, people is going to start jumping from one to the other. You got Anderson Silva boxing, you got Logan Paul. Not Logan Paul, the other Paul brother. What was it?
Jake Paul.
No, Logan. No, I meant Logan.
You meant Logan.
Yeah, that's the one that boxed Floyd, but then he was at WrestleMania. That dude, come on, man. The dude is making money. He was at WrestleMania after he boxed Floyd Mayweather.
But he never had he had wrestling pedigree in high school,
right.
or college, but he never had it's not like he grew up wanting and training to be an MMA fighter. He can do that because he's set. He's got the money to just go around and do whatever. It's more fun for him.
Right, but like just to be an athlete of that caliber, and I mean high caliber athlete to even switch.
For sure.
Yeah, like because it's really hard for people to do. Brock did it, Batista did it, Bobby Lashley did it successfully. Who infamously did it unsuccessfully.
Yeah.
CM Punk.
Yeah.
And now that bum's hurt because all he does is run his damn mouth and not do the things he needs to do.
I still can't go over they did that. That was hilarious. Like, it was so hilarious.
He's sloppy in the ring. I can't stand CM Punk. I'm glad my son hates him too. And anybody listening, who you hate CM Punk? Because I hate him. Because he's a liar, and I saw it with my own eyes, and I knew something was up when he went to AEW because they're liars too. It's crazy. And somebody said, "How are they liars?" Somebody said they learned how to lie from Cody Rhodes. So I don't know. I forget who said that, but go look up the quote. And he was over there. I'm not saying that Cody Rhodes is a liar. I'm saying that there's a history of stuff not being done that they said they was going to do there, like the rankings meaning stuff. Wardlow was ranked number 1, and then the number 4, he got jumped by John Moxley in the number 4 spot. They fucked up. Sorry. and they didn't say anything about it, and they
Yeah.
just wrote it off. They hand waved it off like they told you would never do. They say they never insult your intelligence, and they told you that 4 spot can jump to 1 spot because they say so. They told you they wouldn't do stuff like that. People might say, well, why are you so hurt about that? How is that a sports like field, bro? You said sports like field, you brought in the rankings, blah blah blah. Anyway, let's talk about liars a little bit. No, I'm kidding. No, but going back a little bit, I wish Paige Van Zant hadn't said I'm not an Instagram model and then took her stuff to her own website and monetized it. It's like now you're just showing tits and ass, man. Like you said, this is not who you are, and then that's who you are like a year later. That's kind of messed up. You know what I mean? Like, I it's not that I'm just. It's her own website, so that's great. It's not OnlyFans, it's her stuff. You got to pay her to get it. That is the best part about that. It's just weird that for years, didn't she tell us as the media not to put her in that light, that she was just a model and just looks?
Yeah.
And then she went out and she's one of the most searched wrestlers because of that. Because of that. And she, rightfully so, but because she's also a wrestler, it's like it's cheating almost, essentially. She didn't get over by her wrestling credibility. But to go a little bit back, or to circle all the way around, Valerie Laredo is somebody who I watched when she was just doing just martial arts.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what? I was like, she's a martial artist and stuff. And before anybody thinks anything crazy, the first time I ever saw her was in a gi with like all these championships. Like she stood out as a winner, and she was a star in her gi. So don't say, oh, it's this, it's that. Nah, she was a star in her own discipline, and that's what I think is going to make her a star in WWE, in pro wrestling. If she went to AEW, I'll be fair. I think she'd hurt somebody in AEW, like for real, because it took Brock a little bit to kind of rein it in and not hit people once he gets to UFC. He famously or infamously busted open John Cena when he came back.
Mm-hmm.
Valerie Laredo in AEW would end up kicking somebody's face off, but like in WWE, they teach you, hey man, don't kick this person's face off. Like, have you heard of Nikita Lyons?
Yes.
They were in a picture together, and I can tell you this.
Yeah. Quite tall.
Yeah, like Laredo and Lyons were in a picture together, and I was just like, man, that's a really good future for WWE because you got
I've seen that,
legitimate backgrounds, right? No more playing. People who are fun to look at, and people who can back everything up on the streets.
Yeah.
On the streets. In the cage. You lock them in a cage, you're dead. You put them on a beach, okay, cool, that's good too. You could put them anywhere and they're good. I don't know about Laredo's like mic skills or whatever, but like no, she's good too. She's good at that too. But like she's somebody you want to look for because that's the new wave. Everybody's switching. I don't know Michael. I don't know why I don't know why Michael Bisping's not boxing, but
I think it's difficult if you had one eye, and even if you were doing exhibitions, you don't want to be losing that other eye.
How much money are you trying to pay me? Like $10,000 a fight? Sure.
I mean,
that's chump
get
change.
Paid a lot of money to fight, but that's
$500,000.
I mean, I don't know, but I like what you're going at because it's definitely a new wave. Obviously this new wave of YouTube boxing, celebrity boxing into MMA, into boxing, that's, we can still class it as a new wave if we're still classing the UFC as a new sport. It is a new wave.
If you put it up against boxing, absolutely.
It's definitely a new wave, and then this, like what you were just talking about, good point about like Valerie and Paige Van Zandt, this is a new wave of, I think Karolina Kovacevic that won last night, big win for her, first in like five fights.
The one that beat Bomb Herrig?
That was it. Yeah. But she sort of, welcomed that aspect of her career as well, of like getting into modeling and things, and you see the profile boom, it goes up, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, we're going to talk about her in a second for Weili Zhang fight this Saturday. She's in that as well, in that new sort of opening Instagram and using it as, because it's all business, for all these.
No, yeah, you should
it's
do
good.
that.
I like it, to be fair.
I mean, if we're being totally honest, what do you think Hulk Hogan had all the muscles for? He didn't have it to just go out there and, like, they had a dual function. He'd go out there and beat your ass, but
Yeah, it's
they was, hey,
aesthetic.
look,
It's
yeah,
performance.
it was ecstatic. It was getting him deals. Ravishing Rick Rude, the same thing. Ric Flair. The long, luxurious hair, man. He was gonna steal your girl.
It's persona. It's
But not just persona. It was a dual thing. He was really actually having sex with all of those women.
Oh,
You know,
for sure.
so
For sure.
right. But that's my point is that it wasn't for nothing. He just didn't look the way he looked just because.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the female athletes, and also, man, use everything you got. If some guy says, "Oh, she's just somebody in a bikini," call them out for their lack of skill, like when Paige Van Zandt wasn't good enough to be in UFC anymore, and she got beat up in bare knuckle boxing. Call that out, right? Let's call out her skill, but like, don't call her out as a model, because that's stupid. Oh, but she's just a model. No, she's fighting too. Like, she's got a fight license. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, they granted her a fight license, so respect what she's doing. If you don't respect her skill level, just straight up say that. That's perfectly okay. But attack people on the right levels. If you're gonna attack them, I'm attacking the fact that, man, maybe this or that. But like, it's already over. Who cares? I was just bringing something up for the sake of discussion. Who else was a big time model? Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels. He was in Playgirl, like, and it's not the first time I brought that up. Like, that's why these guys look like that, and that's why these girls look like that. I'm not saying they have to be in Playboy or Playgirl, but they're in magazines, so that and they take pride in what they do. Trish Stratus was a fitness. She was in fitness magazines and stuff. Was and still is, and guess what? That's because she's proud of where she is physically and her and the way she's able to maintain her fitness.
I wish that UFC fighters and Bellator fighters won. Like, I think the women are welcoming that now, because it's more natural for them to show who they are and things. And I think the males will just focus on fighting and looking at. I mean, everyone's welcoming more advertisement, more sponsors for themselves, more money. But it's harder for a guy. I mean, Luke Rockhold's done it quite well. Obviously, it's in the latter stages of his career. But Paulo Costa, there's a market for him there. You get Paulo Costa. Come on, Sean. The man's like the man is built like. I mean,
whenever he get yes, he looks like Ricky Martin. But tell him to win some fights.
Oh,
tell
for
him
sure.
to lose.
I'm just talking about like making money. Sure. He could easily make money.
But you got to attack him on the right level, though. We know him as a UFC fighter, and the guy's trash right now. So if he starts winning fights, then you start talking about how.
So you have to be successful first in some way to.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we know him as. That's how he got into the spotlight. If he had gotten into the spotlight as a model, then I would respect him as a model.
But could you not argue that they all did that? Paige, Valerie.
No, definitely not. With Valerie, like I said, the first time I ever even saw her was in a gi.
Yeah, so you're identifying her as a fighter first, not a model.
Yeah, fighter first.
Yeah, so that it's kind of the same, because as Paulo was a fighter first.
Yep. That's whatever you start out, whatever you get known, whatever you get notoriety for first.
Yeah.
Whatever you're known as. Valerie Laredo is a combat sports athlete.
But it's hard.
Not model. I mean, well, she's a model / but like.
Do you think it is harder though for the guys to maybe to get into what the girls are doing?
Not at all.
No?
It's way easier, and that's with the male-dominated society. It is, and I don't probably never gonna say anything like that again because I don't like the way people who make those arguments sound, look, their ideologies. It's all stupid. But this is one time it actually is the truth.
Right, yeah.
You already a man. You already can just do stuff. Just do it. Nobody's gonna say anything.
Yeah.
Like when Shawn, the only reason it was controversial that Shawn Michaels was in Playgirl was because nobody had ever done that before. Like nobody, not from pro wrestling, but it wasn't. And when it comes to female-dominated things like being in Playboy, like, or just posing nude in general, no, it was a big deal when China did it, but like other people did it, and you know what I'm saying. But like it wasn't the biggest deal in the world because we were used to that already, But yeah, man. Vince McMahon has been on the cover of fitness magazines. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not because he's Vince McMahon, because look at him. There's been plenty of wrestlers, and they did that on their own merit because of what they did with their bodies. Trish Stratus, John Morrison, Vince McMahon, Triple H. The whole McMahon family was up there. Like, it was like Triple H, Stephanie, Vince. Like, and they keep making the covers of these magazines. Mandy Rose, the list goes on and on. And for Paulo Costa, all he needs to do is just walk into Guess, right? Guess clothing and just, and he's good.
They're like, yes.
Mark Anthony's line. It's in Kohl's, but I got his clothes. They're nice. You don't have to even do it for. Listen, if we being business savvy about this, you don't care about the big one. You want your clothes in all these stores. You want to go for a Target line. People say Target. Yeah. Well, look at Jessica Simpson and all these other people who are making billions of dollars, making money hand over fist, and you want to talk about where they sell the clothes at. You just worry about buying them because they not, you don't have your own clothes, so you just worry about buying somebody else's. Paulo Costa could easily just go to Kohl's or JCPenney and get a line and be done. That's what you see what I'm saying? Just walk in there, bro. And if they don't like it, whoop somebody's ass. If the manager don't like it, you just start choking the shit out of him. And he's gonna get the deal either way. I mean, I respect him that much. I think he'll whoop a normal fat JCPenney manager's ass, right? So that's his next
fight. How do we get on to this?
Manager.
Anyway,
book it, JCPenney.
Yeah, no, it's a good sort of side talking point of MMA and box. Well, it's not, it's maybe not as big in boxing, but looking for different avenues, more money and whatnot. It's an interesting topic. But Sean, we'll wrap up. We'll round third here because we're running out of time. I'm going to do a little bit different here.
We're talking about Rafael Nadal. Nadal just whooped that ass to get his get another French Open.
So we'll look at the three main fights on this Saturday's card. Talk about them, but also give who you think's going to win and where the winner goes. Because I'm looking at especially the Valentina fight. Especially if she comes through it, which most people would think. It's pretty much her wiped out the entire division. Fight. We'll get on to that in a second. I'm just getting to you so that we're obviously probably going to talk about her moving up. Maybe Pena, should she beat Nunes? I think she does move up if Pena wins. Does she move up if Nunes regains her title? We'll wait and see. But Sean, we'll start with Weili Zhang and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. For me, I'll get your opinion in a second. I think, obviously, this is a rematch of the best female fight in UFC history. And will it be as good as that? You could pretty much 100% say no. You never know, but you could argue that it can't. Obviously, Joanna.
Zhang has been fighting. Zhang has just fought one of the best, and she's going to beat the hell out of JJ. It's not even going to be interesting.
Joanna hasn't fought yet, like you said, in a while.
It's been like 2 years?
Yeah, over 2 years.
I was going to say 3, but that seems a little bit much, like 2.5.
2 years, and obviously removed from the rankings. Politics involved. Obviously, she's not seen eye to eye with the behind the scenes all the way through this time off. But still a game fighter, still one of the best. I mean, obviously, like Sean's saying about Whaley being far more active. Yeah, you probably would. I think this fight, Sean, I think more people will have a better understanding of who was going to win. You know, when you go into the last one, it was for the title. Joanna was still in good form. Yes, she lost to
I want you
Valentina
to
before,
say
but
that Zhang Weili's gonna beat her ass. Say
I
those exact
think,
words.
yeah, I mean, I think it's more convincing that Whaley would be the favorite this time around.
Ooh. Say it in slang. Say it dirty. Say it
But
nasty. Give me some nasty. I want some
um,
nasty.
I think it could be a close
No.
fight again.
No.
I
She's
I
gonna get
just
obliterated, man.
I don't know if you can doubt Joanna at this point. I mean, especially in that division.
If it's been 2 years plus since you fought, I'm gonna doubt the hell out you because
But when you see the way the
the
fight went
speed
the
of the
first time
game.
round, I thought she won. So
Did you see her face? No. What? You thought
yeah,
she won?
we've talked about this before, but
Oh,
I felt she won the fight,
it
and
was close. It was
it was
close. I'll say
incredible
that. Like,
fight. I mean, you're saying Whaley, but are you more looking forward to this fight than you are the co-main with Valentina? Because do you think Valentina's just going to do what she normally does?
no, I'm more for looking towards the Valentina one because I just want to know. I'm
Talent
pretty sure
Sandler's
she's
a problem.
pretty sure she's gonna win, but like,
She's yeah.
we just saw Amanda Nunes lose, and that's
Mhm.
because she was overlooking everything. And Valentina doesn't seem like she does that, but
No.
it's easier for her to overlook things. Much easier. Like that's why she should be laser focused on our next opponent. But I don't know. Valentina is not just you gotta have the fights, right? You gotta have the fights. It's not automatic she's gonna win. Um, so I want to see the result of that. So that's why it's more interesting. The Zhang Weili and JJ fight doesn't interest me because JJ hasn't fought in 2 years plus. So I don't really care. There's no way she's gonna beat her. Somebody who's she's not GSP, man. You know, GSP was able to come in off of a long layoff and do what he does best. I'm not saying Joanna's not really good, but you got to understand the level I'm putting her at. She's not quite GSP.
Oh
Let's say
yeah.
she's Bisbing, but who beat Bisbing? Who
She
came
is the
back off the
equivalent
layoff
of
and beat Bisbing?
yeah. She is she is the equivalent of some very very dominant male champions. Because let's not forget, before Rose Namajunas came around, Joanna Jędrzejczyk was
Yeah,
the
she
boogeyman
was
of Tony
goaded.
Ferguson. You
Yeah,
know, what I mean, she was the female Tony Ferguson. It was domination. It was
only
put.
with a title and not getting slept.
It's obviously not been kind the last couple of years. I mean, it's very fickle that division, Sean, because obviously with what we've seen with Rose and Esparza, that was pretty much a nothing fight.
Yeah.
You
The
could do
Grove should be disappointed. I
for
wouldn't
sure.
cut her, but I'd do something really. I'd do something to her to let other fighters know you better bring your A game because you'll make us lose money. Like I don't know about fining her, but she needs to face disciplinary action. People are like,
Well,
how could you do that? Did she
yeah,
fight? No. She literally didn't show up for that fight. Well, figuratively, but like
or
it's as if
yeah, the
she
game plan
literally
was wrong.
didn't. You know, she didn't show up. And like you gotta be docked pay, you gotta be suspended. Something has to happen to you because of that. Not just booking. Something has to happen to you because of that.
I think that we're talking. I said we're going to look at these three fights, where the winner goes, where the loser goes. Maybe we'll start with Whaley and Joanna, and like I said, Sean, the strawweight division right now is quite fickle. You know, you had Rose that, for my money, could have dominated that division for at least 4 to 5 years with the right game plans on each fight, because she is really technical. But a terrible game plan, making Esparza come and take the belt off her, which some champions have done in the past. Terrible game plan, and it's
Tyron Woodley.
it's bitter. Obviously with Pat Berry in the corner, don't know where that goes if Trevor Whitman becomes number one coach. At some point you've got to look at the past, the personal, and look at strictly business to become a total great, which I imagine she would want to do. She said at some point that she was looking at retiring. Now she's got the fire back. She's now lost her belt. Esparza did their minimum. Obviously, she was confused at what Rose was doing. I think
it was weird. Yeah,
it was a weird fight, wasn't it?
Esparza was super confused. Like, if you look at her face during the fight, she was like, "What are you doing?" Like there was times where she was like, "Okay, now she's gonna throw a punch." Like in the first couple rounds, she would react before the punch was thrown. It's like, wait, you're not even throwing that punch. It's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird.
But just on that, Sean. I mean, you've got obviously Rose now number one. You'd imagine, and I know the UFC won't be wanting to put that rematch on anytime soon because they'll have the fear of it being the same.
They're never doing that again.
You'd imagine that the game plans would be different and the fight would be a lot better. So perhaps let's say that Rose gets an immediate title shot against Esparza, that ties up the title. With a win for either of these girls on Saturday, you'd imagine, if Joanna wins, maybe she has to fight one other person because of the way her last few years.
Who would that other person be, though?
Well, you got Marina Rodriguez, you got Mackenzie Dern. It's when you look at Valentina's division, Sean, there's absolutely no one after Talia Santos. Yeah. After that, it's like she needs to go and fight the winner of Pena versus Nunes because she's just cleared it out. I think there's a bit more life in the strawweight division. But yeah, for me, I think if Weili wins, she'll fight the winner of whether it be Rose or Esparza, and if Joanna wins, she might have to fight another person.
I think Weili fights Esparza, and I think Joanna fights
Rose.
Yes, that's what
we're looking at. So you think Esparza, if there was a rematch, you think Esparza would beat Rose?
No rematch. There's no way that, like you said. There's no way that fight ever again, bro. Ever again.
Could you imagine the fear in fans if that was announced? Oh my god.
Dana White would fire anybody who would ever even suggest it, and he would be totally justified. If he wigs out on you, how could you did that to yourself? Yeah. They are never being booked again. Never. Never, man. Never.
I mean, we'll move on to the co-main because, like I've said, that I think Valentina, Talia Santos is 19-1 and she's dominated everyone in sight. She's like, if I said that when it got announced a while back, this, like you said, Sean, this is a bit of a trap for Valentina. She's looking past her. If for anything, she's thinking of Pena, thinking of Nunes, thinking that I've dominated this division. This is just another victim. This could be different, and this is what's exciting about it. I think every time Valentina fights, there's an excitement, there's fan base towards her, but it's more almost like a Canelo feeling where she's going to win, he's going to win. Obviously,
that's what just happened to Canelo.
That's changed to Canelo, so there is that element of you never know. But for Valentina, it just feels so certain that she wins because she's shown that she's such a level above. So for me, it would be, Valentina's going to win, and then she's going to fight Pena or Nunes. Do you agree, or do you think Talia can win?
I think Talia can win.
I think so too, but I think
I was watching one or two of her fights and some highlights. I was just kind of really quickly trying to take some stuff in. I was like, that's not somebody I want to go in there half-heartedly thinking I'm just going to beat him. Get it. Sure, Valentina wins. Side Mount Sam, the co-host of my other show, was saying that Valentina should go down and fight
no
Esparza. He said just take the belt.
Well, actually, right now you go and quickly get that belt for 115, and then you beat Talia Santos first. You then move down to 115. You get a double belt. If Pena beats Nunes, and you can strap a triple belt.
That's exactly what he said. Man, that would be nuts. That's what you do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
150.
That if I'm Valentina, that's my plan. And it's not just because
But
here's the thing. You didn't want Esparza to win the title. You wanted it to be who you perceived to be the better fighter, Thug Rose. You wanted Rose to win it so that you could go down there, beat her up, and be like, look, I beat up Rose, who beat up JJ.
Yeah.
I beat up JJ too. And then you just want, look, Pena beat Amanda Nunes. And although you didn't beat Amanda Nunes, like, you beat the person that beat her. So you could do a little bit of math on that and kind of say, oh, well, look at me now. But that is her path to greatness. She will easily be the GOAT. If she does that easily, there will be no questions about it. She would have 3 titles. I would fold up all of the women's divisions into each other and just say no more women's MMA. It's trash now. You let one person come through here and take everything you own. It's a one-horse town, man.
Oh my God.
If that happens,
it can't happen, John, can it?
It
really
delegitimizes every single thing about the sport. It's like, well, yeah. Why even have weight classes? I would get rid of them if she did that. I'd be like, yep, no weight classes. Who cares? All of y'all are 10 pounds within each other. Who cares? And you're fighting each other anyway. Like, but I'm thinking, you said Dern's a good fight
as well.
Yeah, Dern's a good fight for somebody. What's the next fight?
So, yeah, I mean, we're sort of set on Talia. I think Talia can win, but most likely I know Valentina's going to win. The main event, far more competitive. I mean, people continue to doubt Glover Teixeira, Sean, and probably will be with Jiri Prohaska as his opponent, because Yuri's a scary individual with his striking power, and we've seen Glover's chin over the years fold quite badly. But this 41, 42-year-old version of Glover Teixeira is fighting the best he's ever fought in his career. And he'll be looking to maintain that momentum, retain his title. Will he do it? What do you think?
I think so. Because of his chin, he can get in trouble, and he has. He's got. Oh my God, he's gonna die, and then he'll win the fight. I was like, how did he not die?
Recently, some fights he's not recovered, but sometimes, like you said, yes, he comes back. Charles Oliveira sometimes.
Right. So I'm thinking he probably gets it happens again. He probably gets rocked. Or he's not somebody you can underestimate. So I got to go with the champion in this one. My homie and the other co-host, Side Mount Sam, said the Glover's Teixeira's time is up.
It's a quick raid for Glover, then, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
His time's up. His time only started.
Yeah, he said he was going to be a very in a placeholder of sorts. So we'll see. I doubt it, but like we'll see. I mean, the thing about what I said at MMA, like, I'm sorry, I said this Friday on the other show. The competition in MMA, the skill level is up, because no one's just and we talk about it a little bit today too, is people in crossover sports. They're crossing over. The skill level is seemingly much higher than a Chuck Liddell, right? Because Chuck Liddell could just knock you out. He didn't need to go to the ground with you. He wasn't a damn jiu-jitsu expert. He wasn't a damn Gracie or nothing like that. But like, you got to fight guys who are Conor McGregor on the feet and Gracie's on the ground, like Charles Oliveira. So like, you're in a lot of trouble, man. And that's what Glover Teixeira is coming up against. Guys like that, where he is just meeting the new wave of skill and competition. In no way does that mean they're better than him. No. At all. Because you would have said that about Blachowicz, and look at where he is, So we'll see. But I think he's got this one. But his days are absolutely numbered. Some young lion is going to come in there and pounce on him and feast upon him. He's going to winter and summer on him.
Well, that could be Jiri, but Yuri's not, a spring chicken himself. He's been around for a while. He just came to the party late in the UFC, but he's been doing it for a long time. And yeah, I would agree with you. I think Glover is going to show, yes, he's a limited champion, in terms of the days he has been. But my God, there isn't much more of an experienced individual inside an MMA octagon than Glover.
I want to see him versus Reyes.
I seen a post from Reyes yesterday about him coming back, motivated, being doubted, and it was cool because it's, we talked about this, Sean, the highs and lows of MMA and how one fight can change a career. You look at at the end of round 3 in John Jones' fight, he was, in my opinion, he was 3-0 up.
Yep.
He's way to beat the greatest of all time in many people's eyes. He then goes on to lose controversially. You could say, obviously, Jones won the last 2 rounds, but,
I think he only won one of the last 2 rounds to me, and I want to say that was the 5th because, like, Reyes, it was either the 4th or the 5th because Reyes was he was pretty much done.
Well, that just furthers the point, Sean, doesn't it? I mean, because you look at him now, you got the bad loss to Jan Blachowicz, and he's definitely in the mix. I mean, Jan, with that win against Rakic, it wasn't really like a traditional win,
right.
Injured. So, I mean, we're both sort of saying Glover. Listen, Yuri Prochazka could come out there and spin kick Glover and kick his head off. Like, let's be honest,
he might.
He could.
We need Glover to stay where he is right now. If he loses, it kind of throws everything into turmoil, and he's not getting back. If he loses, he needs to go to heavyweight. He used to get knocked down anyway.
Loses, unless they give him an immediate rematch, I think he might be like, I've done it. I was a champion. Like, I don't need to go and do this again. I don't need to go through the trenches to fight these guys.
I mean, I'm always a big fan of people just moving their weight, not just when they lose, but like, I think if he goes to heavyweight, that's his bread and butter. He can make some good money there. I think he'll be quicker than other guys, even with his age. I think he'll be quicker, a little lighter, and just more experienced than guys at heavyweight. Because you got guys at heavyweight now that just got punching power, just like he does, and chins, just like he does. So the thing he has the experience over them, though. Knock out Arlovsky first, make him retire, and then you become the new Arlovsky.
Well, listen, we'll see how it unfolds.
Arlovsky is a mantle. You're the new Arlovsky.
It could. I don't know. The problem is with Glover, he's a bigger Charles Oliveira. He keeps getting doubted and doubted and doubted. And I doubted him against Blachowicz, like most people did. I thought Jan was, coming off of the Izzy win, obviously beat Reyes for the title, and he just looked great. And then what happened was it was a shutout. So I think this could be the same. It could be Yuri going in with all the, he might be the favourite. I haven't really checked, but he goes into that fight with his striking ability, and Glover is on the other side. People going, ain't no way Glover's getting out of this one.
Glover needs to beat Yuri, then challenge Israel Adesanya. Well, probably beat up Reyes if Reyes is next. Then beat Israel Adesanya. He needs to challenge Israel Adesanya and beat him, and I think he can.
That'd be a crazy fight.
I think Izzy's good, but like I don't think he can take one of them punches, man.
Well, we've seen Izzy go up, and it didn't look.
He took Jan's, but like, I don't think Glover Teixeira is gonna. He's gonna fight him very, very differently.
The difference is with Izzy is that he got taken down by Jan, who isn't a great wrestler, but a decent wrestler, and he got controlled because of the weight, because of the mass, the strength. If Glover was to take him down,
it's all over. Yep. Yeah. He's boom. Bam. He's way strong.
I like that idea, though. I mean, Glover, at this point in his career, he needs to start in these huge fights and needs to be making lots of money.
That's a money fight. You do that. You challenge. You win this next fight. You challenge Israel Adesanya, and then you move up to heavyweight and go from there. Curtis Blades is waiting. Oh, I'm sorry. Arlovsky first, then Curtis Blades.
Well, we'll see how it unfolds, and it's a great triple header of a pay-per-view this coming Saturday. It's obviously been a couple of weeks, like we said. We took a couple of weeks to sort of plan things for you guys because I
got a new baby, so that's one thing.
We're working it out, but we'll be back again next weekend, obviously to recap what we've seen this coming Saturday. But
And
Yeah,
talk
it's been
about some
another.
basketball too, because your
We'll do that
Celtics.
off there. We'll do that off there. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, hope you guys are enjoying that just as much as your MMA. If that's your thing, it's definitely my thing and Sean's thing. But yeah, take care, guys. Have a good weekend. I hope you've had a good weekend and have a good week. We'll see you next Sunday for another episode of the Weekend Warrior Show. Have a good one. Take care, guys.